Your love, your love, your fighting makes me wanna get it, get it, get it, get it, love, get it, get it, get it, get it, love, get it, your love, your love, your fighting makes me wanna get it back. All of your love, all of your love. Want it back, like I'm a creature, like I'm a creature tonight. Loving you was easy till it all came out, it all came down, yeah. Touching you was something, without you I'm nothing, babe. Your fighting makes me wanna get it back. Your love, get it back. Your love, want it back. Like I'm a creature tonight. Get it back. Your love, want it back. Your love, get it back. All of your love, want it back. Like I'm a creature, tonight. Loving you was easy till it all came out, it all came down, yeah. Touching you was something, without you I'm nothing, babe. Your fighting makes me wanna get it back. Your love, want it back. Like I'm a creature, tonight. Get it back. Want it back. Your love, your love, your fighting makes me wanna get it, get it, get it, get it, love, get it, get it, get it, get it, love, get it back. Your love, your fighting makes me wanna get it back. All of your love, want it back. Like I'm a creature, tonight. Loving you was easy till it all came out, it all came down, yeah. Touching you was something, without you I'm not.
All right, good morning, everybody, to KW Milwaukee on Tuesday, February 8th. I hope you're having a freaking awesome start to your Tuesday morning. Tuesday, February 8th means that we have a bunch of people to celebrate this morning for those who capped, as well as give you a quick update on awards. I am not going to go into statistics today. Because I need to take a deeper dive into January's numbers, and I didn't have a chance to do that in advance, so I'm going to do that for you guys next week to give you a little bit more of a perspective of where we sit kind of for the first 6 weeks into the year. With that, though, is my job, and I've said this to you guys many, many times before, my job in terms of leading this group is to challenge your thoughts in order to challenge your actions, and that my job isn't to tell you what to do or to tell you how to do it. It's more so of to challenge the way in which you think and challenge the way in which you approach in order for you to challenge the way in which you act, right? And so last week we went through what I would call challenging your conscious bias. And this week I'm going to go through a concept where I'm going to really challenge your unconscious bias. And we'll go into that here in a little bit further. But without further ado, we have a handful of people to celebrate. So with that, I'm going to flip it over to Deej, who has a handful of people to celebrate from a capper standpoint. So Deej.
All right, you guys. This is a special recognition. Bethany Clark joined Team Trimble not too long ago. She's been with us for a handful of years. Congratulations on capping. All of the work that you've done to get to this point, and then your very fast success this year is just really something to be to call out. I love it. Congratulations, Bethany, on capping. Yay, Bethany. And Katie Sayers. Katie, you're slaying it in Florida and you're slaying it up here in your Wisconsin business. So I just wanted to congratulate you for capping up here and hope that your Florida season is just as crush worthy. Congratulations.
Phenomenal. Next up, Patty Eubanks, capped in the month of January. Patty is the queen of Grafton, and little known fact, she taught Laura Brewster everything she knows about the business. So Patty worked a long time with Laura's mother and now joined Laura over here at KW. Patty, we're thrilled to be in business with you. Congrats on capping in the month of January. Next up, this person continuously pushes the envelope of what is possible in the state of Wisconsin in real estate, continues to push his team forward, leading through others, has done a phenomenal job in growing an incredible business. Jay Schmidt, congrats on capping in the month of January. Next up, I call him the quiet assassin, Simonis. Simonis, he says silent but deadly. Simonis, incredibly smart dude, wicked smart in terms of his investments in creating passive income and understanding the powers of opportunity to creating wealth and building multi-generational wealth through the power of real estate. Simonis, congrats on capping in the month of January. Right? Next up, the OG of KW Milwaukee, Andy Stillman, I believe, maybe number one, the first person who ever joined KW. Stilly, congrats on capping in the month of January. Next up, Carrie Tabor of the Fairhaven Group has been in this business for like less than 2 minutes, is absolutely killing it. Carrie is incredibly intentional and purposeful in her approach to this business, and as she gets more and more success, I always tell new folks, success in this business builds like a snowball, right? So stack successes every single day. Carrie, congrats on capping in the month of January. All right, last but not least, Jay's partner in crime, the one who gives back to our community at the highest level, Janine Warner, thank you for everything you do to lead through others and to support not only your team, but to support the Market Center and everything that you do to give back to our KW community. Janine, congrats on capping in the month of January. So with that, there's been a little bit of a theme, and you've been seeing or feeling probably some shifting tectonic plates underneath you, and you probably have no idea what that means. But over the last 6 months, we've been really looking hard in terms of the way in which we've structured our leadership teams and organizational structure to making sure that we're providing the massive value that you expect out of us and deserve. And so one of that, we also want to announce a promotion. Oh, fuck. So, Mandy's been with me at my side for 4 years to help us build everything that we've done, and she's been an integral part of that. And I get emotional because I really care about her and what she's done to develop into the leader that she's become. So, you know, there's no, for those of you who know me, there's no secrets. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. So with that, I want to congratulate Mandy. What we're doing is we're finally taking the training wheels off after 4 years. Mandy is now going to lead the group in North Shore officially as the team leader for this location. And it's something that she's not quite sure that she wanted. And I finally told her, it's time. It's time that you lead the group in the North Shore. And it allows me to really elevate to the next level to support kind of our vision of what we do to support North Shore, Lake Country, TOSA at a higher level. But I wanted it to be publicly known, like, truth be told, Mandy's been driving the ship for the last year. I've just been a passenger on the ship. And so now it allows me, she always used to say, what can I do to support you? And the roles have reversed. And the role now becomes, what do I need to do to support her in order for her to continue her growth and development? And that for her in that next step is taking on the reins as team leader in the North Shore. So just a quick update from you from an organizational chart standpoint. What you can see here is now with this announcement, Mandy moves into the team leader role, specifically in the North Shore, leading Sydney and Willis on an everyday basis to support the North Shore agents. The Lake Country crew with Diana, Deej, Britton, and Jackie have been in place now for quite a while. They're an incredible team. Really, I feel bad because I feel like we're making all these organizational announcements every single week, and there hasn't been much news in terms of Lake Country. The truth is, there hasn't been a need because we've had consistency in leadership. And when you have consistency in leadership, the way in which we have Deej, Britt, and Jackie out in Lake Country, great things can happen. And it's correlative to their success, right? Seeing plus 100% year-over-year growth in every metric is phenomenal. You know, and then we're fortunate to have Josh, who just recently joined us about 4 weeks ago. Him and Megan leading the charge out in innovation and helping us grow our footprint in the TOSA, Elm Grove, Brookfield communities. And then you can see here from an operations and compliance standpoint, how we view our organizational structure to support you guys to make sure that at the end of the day, let's not get it twisted. Your expectation of us for a cost, there should be a benefit. And that's not lost on me in making sure that we continue to add value, resources, people to making sure that our cost and benefit is in equilibrium, and that cost does not outweigh the benefit to what we do to help you remove barriers, remove obstacles in order for you to be successful, right? So I will share this out in the Insights and Resources email as it relates to our new organizational structure. I'm not going anywhere. I'm pretty sure you'd have to put me in a grave before I leave. Nor do I think my mother would ever allow me to go anywhere, but that's a whole nother topic. But I'm incredibly excited for Mandy and her kind of development and next steps forward. And so please reach out and congratulate her when you have a moment. Cool. All right, Steph, I'm flipping it over to you for compliance updates because there was a very hot topic on Facebook that I'll give you the background to this conversation. The background was this: there was a photographer in town who kind of wrote essentially a PSA, and it was like 2 sentences long, and it garnered like close to 180 comments from different agents across different communities and different brokerages as it relates to what is right and what is not right within social media, and as it relates to how you portray listings as your own or other people. So what we thought we would do is take the time to educate you as to actually what is the code of ethics and what is it that we need to adhere to as it relates to these policies. So Steph, I'm going to flip it to you.
Thanks, Charlie. Good morning, you guys. Yeah, we just thought we would use this as an opportunity to check in with everybody. As the office grows, we should be touching base with everyone on these rules and regulations consistently. So some of you guys may have seen that debate. I'm sure the majority of you have not. But we just want to, again, make sure that everybody is on the same page. So question, can I advertise a listing on social media that is not my own? Yes, absolutely you can. So this is pulled directly from the WRA. If an agent who does not have the listing wishes to advertise the property, the agent must first have consent from the listing firm. That's pretty clear. Next up. This is more so what this debate was centered around. What if the listing is from another brokerage altogether? Yes, you can absolutely share and post a listing that does not belong to Keller Williams. But again, a firm may advertise another firm's listing with the listing firm's consent. So best practice around that. How can we receive permission to do that? Let's go straight to the listing agent. So email, text the agent to see if you may post their listing. And just common courtesy, ask the agent if they prefer to be credited in your post. I think a good way to do that is share the listing. And then last sentence, right, listing brought to you by Mary Smith or whoever of Keller Williams Realty. That being said, you might be having sideline conversations with agents, with listing agents, and getting their permission to post. The listing agent may not care if you credit them or not. If you see a post online that someone has not credited the agent, don't assume that they are acting unethically. It's absolutely okay for an agent to post a listing and not specifically call out that listing agent. Our feeling as at KW, we prefer that we are crediting agents in our listings, in our posts. Okay, so bottom line, get permission from the agent, have conversations, be courteous. You know, as when you start to gain listings, newer agents, and people start reaching out to you, you're going to want to see that you're being credited in that post as well. So, okay,
Hey guys, it's good common professional practice and courtesy to make sure that you're crediting the listing agent if you are promoting somebody else's listing. Now, as a listing agent, some people will say, well, why would I ever do that? Why would I allow somebody else to not take credit, but have the perception that they listed this beautiful, let's just say, $600,000 home in Elm Grove? Well, I would also challenge you as the listing agent to say, what is your number one job when you list properties? To sell the house. Okay. Now, how do you sell the house? By maximizing your exposure. So I think I understand both sides to be honest with you, I only understand one side of the aisle because I come from a mindset of abundance. If I'm a listing agent, I am trying to maximize and generate as much exposure as possible to my listing. That is the fiduciary that the seller asked me to do when it comes to selling their asset. And I also believe that if I, as an agent, am advertising somebody else's listings with their permission, I will properly credit their listings in a way so as to not create confusion within the marketplace. I think it's a good business practice with good ethical and moral bounds. Make sense? If you see somebody with a listing promoting it that is not theirs, I would challenge you, seek first to understand before you challenge them on an ethical behavior, because it does not mean that they don't have permission.
Right. Thank you, Charlie.
Yes. I have two questions. Ross Treffer.
Not a question. When it comes to two scenarios, one would be the people that do like crush, real estate crush, or like directing people to look at this house. Is that the same as marketing it? Because,
Yes.
right.
Rob, real quick. Ross's question was, for the example, when someone does highlighting a home or let's use Facebook Live or Instagram Live or whatever people do these days. You need to make sure that you're properly crediting the listing agent as you're entering the home or in some way. Ross, question number 2.
Would be, let's say it's just a really cool house, you want to share it and comment on how architecture is really cool, or the basement bar is really cool, or something like that.
Yes.
Is that the same thing where you can say, check out
Yep.
this aspect of it?
So Ross's question, he walks into a house in, I'm going to say Cudahy, with this really cool 1940s vibe looking bar. And I use Cudahy because I feel like that's where all the really cool 1940s bar basements are. And he takes a picture and he says, check out this really cool bar. Or there, I think a bunch of people saw a house with 3 toilets stacked next to each other recently. I saw that really popular on Facebook, right? My interpretation, and again, this is my interpretation, is if you're not sharing the address and you're sharing a feature of a home, I think you're totally cool to say, hey, check out this really cool feature of a home. As soon as you have the address, I believe you have an obligation to credit the listing agent. But you could be in a home in Montana and say, look at this really cool fireplace. And it may not even be listed, but it's also, I get it from a content standpoint, relevant to what you do. Does that make sense? Kate, Steph Miller.
So if you're, I mean, I'm a big poster of when there's an accepted offer with my clients, I'll snap a picture of the exterior of the house and I to be crediting the listing agent getting permission to do that as well.
Ask the question again.
When I have a buyer that gets an accepted offer on a property and I snap a picture of the house,
Yep.
post accepted offer, am I to be getting permission and crediting?
So Stephanie's question is when she brings the buyer to a house, takes a picture of the house that she got an accepted offer on for her buyers, is she to be crediting the listing agent? My professional opinion is I brought the buyer that received an accepted offer to this property. Yes.
We've been talking about this a little bit on our team. Those posts about agents getting accepted offers on listing agents' properties is risky, given anything can happen with that offer. And the listing agent is now at risk because they're continuing to show until through contingencies, if there are any. And now, you're putting it out there that.
Yeah, what Martha's saying is there is a risk associated to saying I brought the buyer, getting an accepted offer, and posting that to your social media accounts until you are through contingency periods, because the deal can fall apart for any given reason at any given time. I don't disagree with that sentiment either. I think the biggest thing from a comments standpoint or commentary to help protect you guys is be careful of the perception you're putting out as it relates to the code of ethics and how we play by the code of ethics to keep us out of, MLS, GMAR, DSPS things.
Go for it after it's sold all day long, but not until it's closed.
Yeah.
Hey, Charlie,
Yeah.
Mary Beth Milky.
Yes,
So,
Mary Beth. The Milky
full
Market.
Full disclosure, folks, that was my listing that was listed by a different brokerage. And I really wasn't even aware that it happened until it was brought to my attention. And obviously, when I went on to it, you had to click the link, which then sent you to their system, right? So
Yeah.
what that's doing for them really is helping to increase their logarithm, right? It's pushing people to them. So
Yeah.
Which
it
would have
ended up being a win-win for them because people were clicking on it and then it went to there. And then in a really small little corner, they had listed by Mary Beth Milky, but not until you clicked and you got the click to their logarithm. So.
Yeah. And for fairness too,
Mhm.
I'm not entirely sure the hubbub behind the post itself, or there wasn't any specific thing in question as it relates to this. All I just know is this: in a tight market where people are feeling, again, I shared last week, there were 51,000 listings that came to the market last year. I think that's a shitload of listings. Now, there are a lot of also people who are coming from a place of fear and a place of scarcity. And if you operate with a mindset of abundance, you have nothing to worry about. And if you operate with a mindset of scarcity, it can be challenging at times. But again, to each your own. I'm not here to tell you what to do or what not to do. I'm just here to help protect your license from a code of ethics standpoint.
And true. And I did not even do anything about this. I am just here doing my business. So
Yeah.
just so
No.
you know, I didn't even bring it up to anybody. So
No. You're totally good.
it was brought to me. All right.
All good. Thanks, Mary Beth.
Sure.
Yes, Tosh.
One point, if you're very concerned about it, brand your photos.
Tasha's comment was as if listing agents are concerned as it relates to people utilizing their photos or repurposing their photos in ways in which they may not be the way they want them to just brand your photos in a simple way, and it helps protect them. All right, good. I didn't intend to go down that rabbit hole. We were trying to keep it as top level as possible, but I'm glad. If people have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Joe and myself or Steph. If you have any questions. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. I'm flipping it over to the person who is essentially who I report to now, Mandy Cotty, for Agent Resources updates.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm going to go over some new resources that have been added for all of us to utilize. So I hinted on this last week, but Keller Williams School of Real Estate is super exciting. So I want you to, for a second, imagine a world where education is affordable and accessible, where students don't have to worry about the financial constraints of getting the education they want or the confinement of a physical classroom. With the creation of K-Score, you guys, this is available to everyone. So nationwide, and a first for everybody, we can provide people their pre-licensee education courses for free with partnering with Kaplan. It's one of the first diversified global education organizations that's offering this for anyone aspiring to start a career in real estate. So how this works right now is it's available now. The pre-licensing class is here. It's free to the student to take the first step towards starting that life-changing career. And all the coursework is available online, and it's self-paced. So the student can work through the program whenever it fits their schedule. There's 2 more components that are coming to K-Score that are going to help agents who are already licensed. And that's going to be KW Prep, which is there to support you before you take your exam if you want some free prep work on pre-licensing. Or once you get in the business, if you're feeling like so many new licensees do, that they're drinking water from a fire hose, it's a really great resource to be able to tap into if you can't tap into all the resources that we have here. That's fully virtual and free, and it's colorized for you so you understand, everything that we're talking about. Also coming soon is going to be a continuing education platform through Kaplan and Keller Williams. You guys will be able to do all your continuing education online at a reduced price. So you're not spending as much money on your continuing ed every other year. So this is a really great thing for a lot of you. Reach out to us about growing your downline, right? So it's a great way to build your profit share tree by recruiting pre-licensed and practicing agents. You get to share their production of every agent you sponsor, and there's no cap on how many agents you can sponsor. So a lot of you reach out to me, Steph Miller, you reach out to me with a lot of people like this. It's free to them now. So if you have people that you meet, whether it's, a server who's serving you your meal and you think, wow, they'd be incredible at this, or whoever it might be, set them up with this. And it's a great way for them to, at no price, check it out and see what they think. Now, a lot of you have been emailing me too, being like, all right, I have people, like, how do I tell them about this? Where's the information? Shocker, it's all in Command, right? Command Designs, there's tons of social graphics you guys can pull if you want to start sharing this and building your downline that way, if you want to be really intentional with it. I'll also share out in the insights and resources, there's an entire K-Score marketing toolkit. So it's going to give you even all of the captions to those social posts. It's going to give you email templates to send if people ask you about this. You don't even have to use your brain. You can just copy and paste this stuff, and make sure to use this stuff because there's a lot of legal verbiage on saying it's free. No, it's free to them. So use the toolkit. Or if you just want to introduce them to myself, to Sydney, to Megan, to Britton, we're here to help support anyone who's interested in starting this career.
Mandy,
Yes.
are they then obligated to become an agent with Keller Williams?
Kristen asked if then they're obligated to become an agent with Keller Williams. No, not at all. So
And this is all like Wisconsin state approved in terms of the
Yes.
county net and, you know, so it's
Yep.
the same as like the WRA.
it's exactly like that. So other question was, is this related to the state of Wisconsin? It is. So this is slowly rolling out across the country. We, as our, group of Milwaukee, have signed up for this for everyone. So it is for the state of Wisconsin. If you have someone looking to get licensed in another state, they would have to find another corresponding Keller Williams who's involved in K-Score in that state to get registered and licensed in that state. Yeah, Eduardo.
I mean, it's a pre-license, so they still gotta get to the course, right? They still gotta pay like the 220. whatever.
Nope, this is the course. So this is the 72 hours of education. It's going to give them everything that they need. Practice exams, the book gets mailed to them, everything at no cost. And then they just have to go take the exam and pass.
We want a refund for ours.
Any other questions? Let me know. I'm happy to clear them all up and help you guys with this. One other quick thing I wanted to hit on is our leverage piece of the week. So I wanted to talk to you guys about ordering yard signs. We've been talking a lot about developing new listings and getting more business. So what do you do once you get it and you need a sign? Go on the website, kwrealtymke.com. You click on yard signs and it's a couple clicks and you can upload a logo. If you have your own logo, you can put in the comments what you want your sign to look like. You order it 100% online. You get a proof emailed to you for any requested changes. It's a fast turnaround time to get the physical signs delivered to the office. And it's just added to your monthly invoice, the cost of the signs. And it's free shipping to the market center as well. And we'll coordinate having the install company come pick them up for you as well. So if you're not doing this already, these are a list of agents who've all had their signs designed and ordered and done through this process. So be sure to check out kwrealtymke.com to order some signs. Thank you.
So I would appreciate you guys for the next 10 minutes to be all heads in on a topic here. Because I really, really need you to hear me on something that is very, very important, not only on a national scale, but on a local scale. And I'll help you understand why. And it's a topic that we've had probably a lot over the last 2 years. But I need your time and attention on something that is very important that we're going to continue with a theme throughout the year. However, I also want to go back to challenge you as it relates to your conscious biases. Okay. Last week, we talked about this quote that I use all the time from the former CEO of Intel, Andy Grove. Success breeds complacency, complacency breeds failure, only the paranoid survive. Okay. Now, in my challenge to you was that everything that is between your RAS, right? Your RAS is everything you hear between your two ears and what gets processed in your brain, in the media, and that everything you hear running into consumers at this grocery store and whatever else may be is what as it relates to our industry?
Crazy market.
Hearsay, crazy market, low inventory. Okay. Again, I'm reiterating something that I think is vitally important for you to hear again this week. Last year, there were 51,469 new units that came to the marketplace. Okay, 51,000, right? We don't have an inventory problem. We have a lead generation for listings problem, okay? We need to get that through to ourselves and accept the reality. 51,000 listings last year. And last week, I talked about the top 5 listing agents in the market only took 1.6% of the total inventory that came to the market. Point being is, instead of people saying, I am not worthy, I don't deserve this listing, we should be thinking about how do I go out because I deserve the next listing and that I come list with me because I have the confidence and the mindset to help provide you the best possible experience as a listing agent, right? So coming from a mindset of abundance, that was last week's conversation. This week's conversation, as I alluded to in the beginning, and this is where I really need your guys' help, and I would appreciate you to be heads in, is I have to challenge your thoughts in order to challenge your actions. You hear me? I have to challenge your thoughts in order for you to challenge your actions. Here's why. Everyone deserves to own a home. Why is this important? One, it provides incredible access to resources, right? It helps people realize their potential, multi-generational potential. It provides us access to generational wealth. Homes provide access to schools that people desire, and it provides access to good people paying jobs that people desire, right? Simple, basic concepts to home ownership, right? In 2020, Morgan Stanley did a study that talked about homeownership gaps take a massive toll on our economy. Here's what they found in a very brief synopsis of the study from 2020. The gap in homeownership prevented 5 million qualified buyers from owning homes. It cost 800,000 jobs, and it prevented an additional 400 billion in tax revenue that was not realized. Okay? Here's what you also need to understand. In the United States in 2020, I don't have the latest data for 2021 yet. I tried finding it and I couldn't get it. The homeownership gaps between whites was 75%, blacks was 44%. Okay, that's a 30 basis point gap in the United States. I'm probably going to share with you a stat that won't surprise you if you're paying any attention in Milwaukee. The gap in Wisconsin is 72% of whites own a home in the state of Wisconsin, and only 26% of blacks own a home in the state of Wisconsin. Okay? As it relates to what home ownership does for people in creating multi-generational opportunities, we have a massive gap within our community. Okay? And we need to be aware of it in order for us to be effective in what we do. I would also challenge your thoughts as it relates to who you are as an agent. Okay, here's something you need to understand. This is a fact. The population is becoming more diverse, not less. So you must embrace the diversity or become obsolete, right? Because you cannot allow exclusivity to limit your market penetration. I've challenged this group many, many times over the last year when we've had challenging moments. My line is always this: you are not in it to have a great year, you are in it to have a great career, okay? If you don't embrace the aspect that the population is becoming more diverse in who we serve and how we serve them, your business as a business owner in the residential real estate will become obsolete, okay? The other thing is we must be consistent in our approach as it relates to our policies and procedures. Why? Because inconsistencies lead to selective enforcement. The simplest way to say of what I'm referring to as it relates to inconsistent policies and procedures and the way in which that you act as a fiduciary on behalf of your clients is don't get in your own way. Inconsistent policies and procedures get in your own ability to provide your fiduciary at the highest level. Here's what you also have to know and be conscious too. Steering is not hard to do, right? Steering is not hard to do. Not steering is a far more intentional muscle to flex. Okay? Not steering is a far more intentional muscle to flex. Because I would ask you this, and this is everybody I talk to as an agent, everybody would say, oh, I'm operating at the highest and most ethical bounds possible in this industry, right? Well, if you hold yourself to the highest of ethical standards, upholding to fair housing is a core aspect to this, right? If you hold yourself to the highest of ethical standards, upholding fair housing is a core aspect of this, right? And so it's important that I share this with you in the month of February and ongoing, as we've talked about this. For many of you who've been around for a while, know that this is a topic of conversation we've approached many times throughout the year and years, at least in my leadership here. And one of the things is these 11 people on the screen: Benji Cohen, Steph Kennard, Sarah Jo Diedrich, Molly Gallagher, Keith Lenz, Kevin Matson, Lacey Miley, Joan Reed, Rick Reuven, Kathy Shaw, Susie Austin all have something in common. Does anybody have any idea what they have in common?
They all have their business and they give back.
Yes, true. They all give back. They've all graduated the Fairhaven training that's offered through the National Association of Realtors. I would tell you this. Last week, the WRA sent me a note. And you know what the note said? The note said you have 610 associates in southeastern Wisconsin, and you have 11 that have completed Fairhaven. Right? So my challenge to this group, who likes to lead the way in many of the things that our industry does, is I firmly believe that we have a poor representation as to who we are within our community, and being the leaders in terms of adopting this incredibly important policy and training as it relates to helping us understand our unconscious biases to serve our communities. And Fairhaven is an incredibly powerful tool that does that, right? So here, the first thing is I'm going to challenge every single person on this call to take the Fairhaven training. All you have to do is go fairhaven.realtor and it pulls up. Okay? Fairhaven.realtor. Now, Realtor, sorry, Stillman. Now, here's what you need to understand as it relates to Fairhaven. It's a very non-traditional approach as it relates to getting you to think differently. Why do I say that? It's an immersive simulation that provides experiences that utilizes the power of storytelling to impact your emotions. And I'm going to repeat a bold law. Logic makes us think, emotion makes us act, right? So the idea behind the concept of what the National Association of Realtors delivered through Fairhaven is an immersive simulation. And it's all around providing you real estate scenarios inspired by fair housing cases that helps you confront discrimination from the point of view of an agent and a client. And within the simulation, you can choose how to react. And then based on how you react, helps educate you on your ability from an unconscious bias, conscious bias standpoint, right? To help train, educate, and make you think about your approach and your fiduciary and the way in which that you have your policies and procedures in which you approach your clients. Does this make sense? Right? So I asked, Sarah Jo, and I'm going to give a big shout out to Sarah Jo. Sarah Jo was actually the one who put this on my radar last week. And Sarah Jo is one of the first ones who took the training as it was rolled out last year. And Sarah Jo, I'm just going to ask you jump on the call with me for a sec. Give me your perspective on the course, what it did for you, what you learned through taking it, and the such.
Yeah, absolutely. I knew I was going to be a little nervous, so let me look at my notes and put on my glasses because I'm getting old. Like you said, Charlie, it's a really unique training format. It's one of those, if you did this as a kid, I might be dating myself here, but you choose your own path. And based on that, turn to page 10, and it follows that format, except, this is based on actual stories, and we have a lot loftier lessons to learn. So you take 4 transactions, and over a period of time, you successfully close on them. So what's really interesting is you walk into the role of the agent, but you also walk into the role of the consumer, of the client. And when you step into the role of someone who lost out on a housing opportunity because of discrimination, it is extremely powerful, to say the least. Afterwards, you watch a video recording of the person talking about their experience that the story came from, and it's quite emotional. It's really powerful, and that was really part of my experience. It made me think about, consciously, I'm rejecting discrimination, but what are my biases? We're all human beings. We differentiate. That's what our mind does. So this program helps you identify those biases and then gives you tools to help work to overcome them. And you asked me to talk about why I felt it was impactful. Self-reflection, really. It made me ask, is fair housing part of my business model? We look at our numbers, we look at our marketing, but do you look at how do I step out into my community as an agent? And that's a powerful thing. We're in a position of power and we can make change there. So take some time to think about it. They made me think about, were there times where I just sat by and I didn't say anything because I don't want to rock the boat or I didn't know what to do. But as you alluded to, Charlie, you know, we hold ourselves to a higher standard at KW. And that means committing to training, committing to accountability, and making a commitment to make fair housing the core of our everyday practice. The WRA Cultural Diversity in Housing Committee is chaired by Debbie Conrad, and she's a great resource if anyone wants to get involved. But I think, you know, the Fairhaven training is a great way to start. Steph Conrad presented it to us last year. I know it really had an impact on her. She motivated me to take it, and yeah, we should have everybody taking this course. There's 2 hours of your day to carve out some time to just be better. So happy to talk offline about it as well.
Sarah Jo, I appreciate the perspective. Thank you for kind of challenging us in our group and our approach and thinking through the way in which that we approach our mindset to our unconscious biases, as well as how we effectively implement fair housing, not 1 month out of the year, but 12 months out of the year, because I very firmly believe this. I very firmly believe this statement that, sorry, and I'm going back because I want you to see one specific thing, is 2 things. When you hold yourself to the highest ethical standards, upholding fair housing is a core aspect of this, right? And the population is becoming more diverse, so we have to embrace it. Otherwise, you will become obsolete. And so the reason why we're starting with Fairhaven, A, because I truly believe it's an incredibly immersive experience to get people to think differently in order to act differently. And I think the NAR did a phenomenal job in pulling this together. The other thing that I would share with you, the reason they pulled this together was from the conversation. I know I've shared this with you guys many, many times before, was through the documentary that Newsday did around Long Island Divided. They took a 3-year study around steering in the Long Island real estate market and the impacts it had on their communities, right? And so a few things I'm going to share with you today as a follow-up email that I would ask each of you to do. One is I'm going to send you the Fairhaven topic, and as to Sarah Jo alluded to, I challenge you to invest your time to take the training. Invest your time to take the training, because the investment of the time in helping you understand this, you will see a return from not only who you are as a person, you will also see a return as to who you are as a person in the way in which you approach your fiduciary. I'll also send out the link to the Long Island Divided documentary. I'm going to be looking to potentially put together an event around this as well, to continue this theme and kind of conversation, to make sure that it's on the top of our brain and within our RAS system, right? So my challenge to the group is this: it's on me as a leader to say 11 of us have only done it in the last year since Steph brought it up to us. It's unacceptable, right? And that we play a huge part in our communities in helping bridge that gap that is really, I don't even know how else to describe it, unacceptable and challenging in many ways. I brought this up very quickly last week. Many of the comments that I brought up, or statements that I read as it relates to the conversation this morning, came from 2 conversations that I had this week. One of them, and Julia Lachey Israel has done this course for our group in Milwaukee on several occasions, The Color of Real Estate, as well as the unconscious bias in real estate. But last week, so the statements I made were things through the training that these things provided, right? To get me to think about my thoughts in order for me to change my actions. She has another one coming up on February 23rd on KW Connect around unconscious bias in real estate. The other one that I went through, was the WRA, the conversation WRA had with NAR around social equity, diversity, and inclusion, and as it relates to fair housing and the role that fair housing plays in our businesses. So that's kind of my charge to you guys, right? Like we continue to pride ourselves in our community and our ability to serve our clients at the highest level. We pride ourselves in being at the forefront of change and at the forefront of implementing things and adopting things as they come out, whether it's century lock boxes, whether it's new technology, whether it may be. We also have to pride ourselves in being at the forefront of fair housing and making sure that we're enacting and helping be a part of being change agents within our communities. So be on the lookout for that from me and continuing this theme of how we can be change agents throughout the year. Cool? Awesome. Guys, I appreciate you guys being heads in on the topic. All right. Wrapping it up here. January closed it out. We got the Home Run Club in the month of January across North Shore and Innovation. Again, one listing taken, one contract written, one contract closed. Guys, you can see here, big shout out to Elena Zeman, Amanda Schroeder, Beth Clark, Kathy Riley, Eduardo Z. Even though they got married last week, Eddie Z isn't stopping.
We're still working.
Julia, Paula says she's got to pay for a wedding somehow. So there you go. Lindsay Andrews, Laura Caton, Marcus Auerbach, congrats. Mary Bird, love to see you on the Home Run Club. There you go. Terrell Sondrup, I see you, Terrell, up on the big board. Here you go. $1 Million Month Club in the month of January. Here you go. I will tell you this, little sneak peek. January was soft across the market. So for those of you who had $1 million month, congrats on $1 million month in the month of January. More details to come as to what I'm seeing in the marketplace next week. There you go. Individual volume in the month of January. Big shout out to Pam Cooper leading the way. #1, baby. Starting off the year strong at 1.4 million. Brian Schweppe, Shauna Knight coming in at #3. Ann Kleber, right? Doreen Drummel, Patrick Simonis, Shalina Harvey, guys. Congrats on the top 10 in the month of January, despite a soft market. Here you go. Team volume in the month of January. JSG leading the way as they do at 11.1. SRG at #2 at 4. Falk Groove and Gallagher. Fair Hinton Group having a phenomenal year. Emily leaves to have a baby and she says, why does the business need to stop? Right? G2, congrats. Nicollet Group, Zeman Group rounding out the top 10. Now, January for Lake Country, $1 Million Month Club, Bethany Clark, Gallagher Lake Country, Kirsten Miller. Again, who says a business has to stop when you make a transition? Team Chindwell, the Sayers team. Home Run Club, Chrissy Klasky, Connie Cummings, Deb DeFair, Frank Cinto, baby. Sharon Lorenz, Karen Trimble, Kirsten Miller, Leanne Pluster, Mike Moen, and Shayna Zidar. I totally probably butchered that. Shayna, I owe you an apology. Here you go. Top 5 agent volume in Lake Country in the month of January. Kirsten Miller taking out the top spot. Catherine Cario, big shout out. Mike Schaefer, Andy Stabler. And then team volume with Team Trimble having a monster month, 3.1 million in the month of January, despite a soft market. The Sayers team and Klasky Realty rounding out the team volume in the month of January. All right. Upcoming training and events. The only one that matters the most for me today is that everybody completes Fairhaven. On top of that, we are getting into a skill set market. So what does that mean? You have to sharpen your swords if you want to slay the dragon. What do you need to do to sharpen your swords? Family reunion's coming up. We talked about that last week. You have 1 more week to register for family reunion. If you have any questions, reach out to Josh, Mandy, myself, or Deej. We'll help you. Also, last week, we wrapped up 30 people took Ignite. It was an immersive 3 days a week for an entire month, all around building their foundation. Big shout out to the group that took Ignite again, including those who have been in the business for many, many years, including Kevin Matzman, Gail Zeman, and so many others. Congrats on taking Ignite. Also, is a huge thank you to our instructors in Ignite. It is a big course that takes a lot of time and effort. Newbie, Pete Gossman, Paul Nikolic, Laura Brewster, Aletha Champagne, Marcus Auerbach, Bruce Gallagher, Will Stelle, Ross Trevor, Maureen Stelle. Thank you for pouring into our new associates and old associates to help them build their foundation. So what do we need to pay attention to this week and upcoming? Here's what you need to know. If you want to slay the dragon, you got to sharpen your sword. How do you do it? Lead gen for listings panels tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'm facilitating with Sarah Oberbrunner, Amy Merrick, Joey Carini, and Coco Wallach tomorrow, 10 a.m. via Zoom. If you want to sharpen your sword, join us around how these guys doubled their listing inventory in 2021, despite inventory being down. Also, February 8th, today at 1 p.m. out in Lake Country at 1 p.m. There's a buyer mastermind seminar. So make sure you check that out if you want to attend at 1 o'clock out in the Lake Country training room. Also this week, there's a Love Yourself, Love Your Work. Big shout out to the Mary Beth Milky Market, who's hosting the wine and chocolate event out in the Lake Country office at 3:30 p.m. this Thursday, February 10th. If you want a way to meet new people and a way in which you've never seen the Lake Country office, great way to go out there. Top agents will all be there. Great way to mastermind, connect, and have a glass of wine. And then lastly, as a follow-up, Anna Klein, it was supposed to be scheduled for last week, the CPA, to come in and tips and tricks as to how to save money and not overpay Uncle Sam, has been rescheduled for Wednesday, February 6th at 10 a.m. It will be on Zoom and it will be recorded. So be on the lookout for all those things. How do you slay a dragon? Make sure you have a sharp sword. Guys, I will make sure all of the Fairhaven resources are sent your way. Again, my challenge to you in leading this group is challenge your thoughts and it will challenge your actions. Why? Because ration makes you think, emotion makes you act. All right, Lake Country crew, I'll let you jump over to the Lake Country meetup, North Shore and Innovation. I will switch over to new listings and buyer needs. Guys, thanks for plugging in, tuning in, and have a great week.
Hey, Charlie, this is Gail. Can I pop in quick? I've got a 10